3, 2, 1. I'd have to say, starting out on this Thursday, day 52 of the government mandated lockdown, I have to say I'm a little disappointed. I'm happy that as we sit here in Massachusetts, there will be golf. The golf community prevailed, and there will be golf tomorrow. Legal golf. No, none of this, vigilante golf. None of this black market golf. There will be real golf on Friday, thanks to the family, the Marone family that owns those courses that we've talked about out by Worcester. They forced the hand of the governor. We'll get to the details, but I'm disappointed because they were going to open as rebels. They were going to open whether the governor allowed them to or not. That was the plan. They said, screw it. This would have been the epicenter. We would have been in Western Central Mass. You would have had the Fox News cameras. You would have had all the the helicopters over the golf course. There would have been people playing against the law, and there would have been the neighborhood narcs calling the cops, and the cops would have been arresting guys like on the 8th fairway. I don't know if they would have let them, putt out, finish the hole, but they would have arrested them. And as we say all the time, we like chaos. We like to be in the middle of the action. Yeah. It would have been us. We would have been in the middle of everything.
Yeah. Do you think that went into her thought process here in getting this publicity and stuff like that? That if in fact it didn't work out and we weren't opening anytime soon, that it would just create the snowball effect of media coverage. Yeah,
I think, and I'll tell you what happened last night. I got a text from somebody, a friend of mine who plays there. He lives out there and he plays there all the time. And he knows the family, and he said they're opening Friday, whether the governor lets them or not. So immediately, I'm thinking, oh, please, governor, you never let anyone do anything. You love your power. You love flexing your muscles. Don't let them, because it'd been much more dramatic if the governor said, we're going to wait another week, just to be safe. He's such a clown throughout this whole thing. Baker can't make enough rules. He can't force government the overreach on enough people to satisfy him or his people. So I'm hoping he doesn't open up the golf courses, because then we would have had some fun. Unfortunately, he forced their hand. They forced his hand, and he announced at 10 o'clock last night, after I tweeted that this place was opening these two courses. One is called the Wachusett Country Club. One is called Kettle Brook Golf Club, both out in Central Mass, both owned by the same family, the Marone family. And I said, this is going to happen whether the governor likes it or not. So, a half hour later, he makes an announcement, says, we're going to let them open. I get another text from another golf course owner, and he says he's kicking himself because he wished he wanted to open 3 weeks ago. And he's kind of a rebel, and he doesn't really like the governor. So he said, damn, I wish I'd opened. I wish that had been me. He gives all the credit to this family, the Marone family, but he looked at the haircutter, Shelley Luther in Texas, in Dallas, who got arrested and jailed by this total tyrant, this judge, this buddy of Obama's, Judge Moyer, who lectured her and put her in jail for opening up her beauty salon. And that woman is the face right now, the face of the Reopen America movement. Hell, the lieutenant governor down there, Dan Patrick, paid her fine. They fined her $7,000. And the lieutenant governor, paid the fine for her and offered to go in her place to jail. Now, you can't do that, but she's in jail right now. The woman that opened the beauty salon and said, I need to feed my kids. That would have been this golf course family, this golf family. They would have been arrested. Do you have any doubt that Baker, if he really wanted to, would have sent the cops right on the fairway, right on the greens, and arrested people?
Yeah, there's no doubt he would have put them out in some places. He would have picked certain areas definitely to go attack and have people by. But your girl down in Texas is definitely the face of the revolution. They just need to start making T-shirts for her, for freedom, William Wallace T-shirts for her. Right. I think that would be perfect. She's the face of the welcome back to work movement that everyone's going to start. And she's
not a bad face either.
I mean, yeah, it's that story, and that whole video was absolutely amazing. I had gotten an email from the club I belong to that to be prepared yesterday afternoon. So I was encouraged yesterday afternoon that there was some progress being made, and there was a lot of fighting. And of course, the governor couldn't have timed it any better. Way to open the golf courses the Mother's Day weekend. You really want to get husbands killed by getting them back on the golf course and when they're supposed to be at home quarantining with their wives.
See, it worries me that the governor thinks this is controversial because somebody in his inner circle's telling him, we should be safe. Just wait another week, 2 weeks. When they postponed it initially, it was supposed to be 4 or 5 days ago, and he postponed it. He couldn't give you a reason why. And I say it every day, I need a reason why. And so do these golf course people. They're looking out and they're saying, wait a second, our players, our people, our customers don't touch each other. They don't go near each other. If they don't want to, they're not riding the same cart. We have this all figured out. And then they have to listen to this authoritarian tell them, no, we want to be safe. Well, what the hell is unsafe about what they do? So it was very frustrating for them. That's why I think they were going to rebel. And you know what would have happened? This family would have opened first out at the Wachusett Country Club. The cops would have showed up, the helicopters, the news, and then around the state, everyone else would have opened, and there's nothing that they can't arrest them all, right?
Yep.
So it would have been beautiful. It would have been glorious. It would have been, the birthplace of the revolution would have been the birthplace of the next revolution of this state.
There you go.
Statewide revolution against the governor who's out of control.
What do you think about the timing of this and the fact that pictures circulated yesterday of the governor during basically mask day, right? We all have to wear a mask now, and he's not wearing one. It's just like this
governor. This is all you need to know. That's a great point.
We just saw the vice president get shit on for not wearing a mask. Then we see the president get shit on for wearing goggles. And then all of a sudden it becomes the actual day where he's forcing everybody, except me, because I'm an asthmatic, so I can get away with not wearing one. But he's forcing everyone, and he is not wearing a mask at a ceremony. It was at Gillette Stadium. It was right down the street from me.
That's another thing that's going to lead to this kind of unraveling of this police state. This lockdown culture is the hypocrisy. We've seen a lot of it, and Chris Cuomo is the face of it. He's not a government official, but he's very outspoken. He's scolding people if they go outside, if they end up walking down the street without a mask. He's calling them fools. This guy, as we know, is a complete fraud and a liar. He pretended that he was in lockdown for 2 weeks. We know he wasn't. He pretended that he went through this whole process of isolating. He didn't. He's just one of many. We've gone through it, some of them. The Chicago mayor, that woman who got a haircut like the day she told people they weren't allowed to go get haircuts, and then said, hey, I'm important. I'm more important than you, so I have to do these things. And, Governor in Northern Virginia went to his beach house when he told people they weren't allowed to travel out of state. There are a bunch of freaking hypocrites, including our governor, Charlie Baker, just another hypocrite who makes a law, says finable by, what is it, $500? $500. Makes it a law that we have to wear masks. And then shows up at the state police graduation without a mask.
I thought in his decree that he set out is that if you cannot maintain the social distance, that you have to wear a mask. Because I purposely screenshotted that, because I'm not a big mask guy, so I wanted to just, anytime I was in public, that if someone started coming at me or giving me shit, that I can just show them the screenshot. That if I stay 6 feet, I don't have to
hold up a screenshot. You know what? Here's what you should do. Mute. Here's what you should do. Say, I'm first of all, you could do what Dave does. You could say you're an asthmatic. That gives you an out.
And you don't get to prove it.
Or you could do what I do. You say, listen, I've done my research. Wearing a mask outdoors does nothing, you idiot. Why don't you read up? That's what I'm going to do. But I believe the rule says you just have to have it on your person in case you go inside or go somewhere where you can't social distance. You're right. So you could pull it out and say, I'm ready to put it on. But are you really going to dignify someone's interrupting your day, your walk with your wife or kids, and try to reason with them? Aren't you most likely to say, go screw, you nosy,
Yeah, I would definitely. I'm not the go screw guy in public because that can be a little bit, I'm a little bigger guy, so I don't want anyone to feel physically threatened. So I would just show the thing and be like, well, because it's just no need to get physical harm. I'm not doing anybody good if I'm spending my time in jail for not a good purpose. Like, I understand if I was golfing, that's a good purpose to be in jail, but for just maintaining my civil liberties, I don't need to physically threaten anybody. So I just wanted to do. I like the little sarcastic, like, you think you know the laws, because the social justice warriors like to read bits and pieces of stuff and take those out instead of the whole message. So I would like to just, you think you read the law, but you actually didn't read it, and you're choosing to implement it in the way which you see fit, which you're an idiot. So in your face.
Well, I said yesterday with Reamer that I've never been more disappointed in my home state when there was a poll that said 85% of Massachusetts residents support Governor Baker, this out of control authoritarian liberal who's forcing without reason, forcing people to lock down against all the evidence and closing businesses that should be open, and so many other things that are just just unnecessary. Again, every day I'm disappointed. This is again the birthplace of the revolution. I took a walk yesterday, went by Bunker Hill Monument, the place where the great patriots fought the British on Breed Hill, didn't win, but it was a blow to the British. They said, holy crap, these farmers, these ragtag farmers mean business. It was a big deal. And then you got Lexington Concord, where the revolution began. And here now, 200 and whatever it is, 40 years later, everybody's just saying, yes, sir, I got my mask, sir. What time do I have to be home in bed? Tell me, Mr. Mayor, what time must I be home? I will shut the lights off. I will be sure to go to bed, Mr. Mayor. We have become sheep. I took a long walk with the dog, and I swear to God, 98% of people on a sunny, breezy day had their masks on. And they don't have to. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't do any good. It's just like, and then they look at you if you don't have it on, or if you have it around your chin because you're trying to breathe, or if you're going for a run. People are wearing masks while running. They don't know why. It doesn't do any good. It doesn't solve any problems. People, it is kind of sad in the way people have just fallen in line.
No, they do know why. They're doing it just to appease people. That's why I do it personally. Like when I go for walks, I have it around my neck, and when somebody's nearby, I put it on. I mean, say what you want, but I don't know how serious the person I'm about to go by takes it, so I take the easy way out. That's who I
don't understand.
I think I'm disappointed. There's so few.
Yeah, I don't understand how, if you're running, right, you're going at a pace, and you pass another person coming from the other side. How are you going to infect them unless you literally, as you're running past them, turn, sneeze, or cough directly on them and keep running?
Oh, A, you're not. Okay. B, if you don't have the virus, which I don't and you don't, I mean, what do they think is going to happen? I mean, if you're not sick, the reason initially they said masks are only for sick people is because that's the only ones who can. The only reason it matters, it helps, is if a sick person is out there coughing on you. And I'm not yet sick, and neither are you. So obviously,
if you're asymptomatic,
no evidence of outdoor transmission. I'll say it again. There's no research where you can show outdoor transmission. I can't stand Governor Cuomo. I think he has blood on his hands. I think he made the single most grave mistake through this whole thing when he put positive coronavirus patients in nursing homes. He committed manslaughter. They added 1,700 to the total. They're almost at 5,000 people in New York nursing homes who have died as a result of the incompetence of the governor. He is a disaster.
Why is he not getting enough grief for that? Like, what? I mean, his brother interviews him
and he's single, and he's a Democrat, and he hates Trump. So yes, I mean that's why.
That doesn't. It's the whole. He's been standing on this soapbox, and everyone's been giving him all this publicity. But yet, when this comes about, and he puts infected patients in a nursing home in the biggest demographic that can be affected by this negatively, and 1,700 people die, and besides the Post, everyone, like, there's no.
Well, the job of the mainstream media is
need to be accountability.
The job of the media right now is to cover and promote Cuomo, to help Cuomo, even though he's been a disaster at every turn. I mean, there was that ship, the Comfort, in the harbor, and it was nearly empty. He could have put the patients there. He lies and says, "Oh no, it was against the rules." So you're going to say, the rules require me to kill elderly nursing home patients. They're vulnerable. You put people there anyway, and as big surprise, they died. Cuomo is a disgrace. If the media were ever objective, if they ever did their job, I mean, he would be the face of this death toll. I mean, he is more. There's nothing Trump did. There's nothing any governor did. There's nothing anyone did other than, what China did that has resulted in more death and destruction than what Cuomo did. But I'm going to give him credit here. I'm going to give him credit at the same time I say he's a disaster as a governor, as a leader. He held up a graph yesterday. He likes to perform, as you know, holds these long, self-indulgent press conferences. He put up a graph, and I couldn't believe it because it was essentially admitting how misinformed he'd been. He said the graph showed where people, as far as they know, got the virus, where they acquired the virus, where they were infected when they got infected, and showed like 1% in jails. I forget the number at nursing homes, but it's like.
So they're going to put those people back in jail?
It's a good question. Put them back in jail. The jails are full now, though. The jails are full of hairdressers. They don't have room. But he put the graph up, and it shows 66% of people got the virus at home from a family member or somebody in their home, which is where we were ordered to be. I mean, I don't know what could be more telling than the graph that he showed yesterday that indicted him and every other idiot that ordered and scolded us for leaving our homes. I mean, literally, our mayor here in Boston ordered you in your home every night at 9:00. And
he also told you to stop speeding. He also yelled at people for speeding in his press conference. Marty Walsh did.
For
told
speeding?
People to slow down. Yeah, he said, slow you. He actually started cursing at people for speeding. The thing with Cuomo I don't get is because you mentioned this, like in his big, elaborate, like pompous stage that he gets himself onto, he says that he micromanages and knows everything that's going on in his state. Yet he didn't know that he was putting infected people in the nursing homes and doing this. He, in this interview or in the Post article that I believe you're referring to, he says that he was unaware of it and he didn't know that this happened. He looked at an aide like twice when asked this question. It's like,
it was yesterday?
Yeah, it was in the Post.
I mean, I think it's his only defense. I mean, he can only say we didn't know because.
But he knows everything.
If he knew, he's committing murder, for crying out loud. The idea
that he knows everything. I know everything that's going on.
True. But when you think about it now, and with as much as we know, which clearly it's insane. If Trump ever did that, if Trump ordered one, elderly person to be quarantined, to be trapped in a home, in a bedroom, in a house with a coronavirus patient, I mean, they would have a whole new impeachment hearing today. What he did is madness, and I hope it comes back to bite him because it's the worst thing anybody has done. He's put people in there, and they had to admit another 1,700 people died in nursing homes. It is ravaging the nursing homes in some places in Massachusetts, in New York. It is just, I think it's Connecticut. 90% of deaths in Connecticut, I believe, are in nursing homes. So we know now who it's killing, who's vulnerable, who should be protected. Some of us said it right from the beginning. They should do whatever it takes to protect the elderly. Well, clearly, Cuomo didn't. Cuomo doesn't care. It doesn't matter. But again, we've gone over that before, and hopefully people will continue to look into it. But when I'm looking for the graph right now. When I look at this graph, I say, I cannot believe how honest he was, because what he showed us yesterday is that he has been wrong. Most of the governors have been wrong. Fauci, whoever, everybody who said stay inside has been wrong. That's where you get sick. Outdoors, it said, outdoors is almost nobody infected outdoors. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if it's nobody. who's been infected outdoors or while taking a walk. It's when you go home and somebody in your home has the virus, then you end up
because you're
catching it because you're there for hours.
That's also why a lot of the people in Massachusetts, if you look at the demographics for where it is, it's tightly populated areas, or a lot of the infections are within places where multiple people are living in tighter quarters. My issue with Cuomo is I don't understand how he can't get his de Blasio. How is de Blasio going to be able to enforce all these laws that he's going to put hairdressers and everybody else and bar owners in jail because his love of the cops and everything that he's done to protect his
the cops hate him. And it's a good question. I think
how are they going to go help his agenda by put people in jail?
I think what you're going to see is people are looking at the story in Texas, the woman in Texas, Shelley Luther, the brave hairdresser who said, I have to feed my kids. I need the money. Her workers were desperate. They said, we're going to be careful. In fact, if you look at the video, she's taking everyone's temp. They're waiting outside. They're not waiting inside. They're waiting out in the parking lot. Nice day in Dallas. They're waiting to get in. And when they come in, she checked their temperatures. Everyone had a mask. Every worker, every hair cutter had a mask, gloves. They're taking every precaution as well they should. They're not infecting anyone. No one's infecting them. There's no reason they shouldn't be open. And then when they threaten her with arrest, she says, I have to do this. I have to pay my bills. I have to feed my children. And so do my workers. So then the judge is the new villain, Judge Eric Moye, a Obama butt boy who went to Harvard Law, lectures her, tells her he'll let her go if she apologizes and says she was selfish. And God bless her. She says, I can't do that. And she gets sent to jail.
You want to hear from her? You want to play it?
Let's listen to the new American hero who is getting a lot of attention around the country. And trust me on this, there are a lot of small business people are saying, I want to be the next Shelley Luther.
Judge, I would like to say that I have much respect for this court and laws, and that I've never been in this position before. And it's not some place that I want to be. But I have to disagree with you, sir, when you say that I'm selfish, because feeding my kids is not selfish. I have hairstylists that are going hungry because they'd rather feed their kids. So, sir, if you think the law is more important than kids getting fed, then please go ahead with your decision, but I am not going to shut the salon.
And this pompous a-hole, Judge Eric Moye, again, friend, buddy of Obama, a guy that went to Harvard Law, lectures her, sends her to jail, and doesn't miss a paycheck. God knows he'll never miss a paycheck. His huge pension is waiting for him. Just this clash, this conflict of two worlds, this comfortable, pompous jurist, judge, saying, how dare you try to feed your family? Don't you just, don't you just open your bank statement and see a big check there that gets deposited every week like I do? No, this is she's the face of America. She's an entrepreneur, took a chance, started a business through no fault of her own, is losing everything. And she says, enough, I can't do this anymore. Gets sent to jail by this a-hole. Now, and she'll probably do 7 days. That's the sentence, 7 days. But she's going to come out and do it again. She's going to come out and do it again. And pretty soon, there'll be so many people, rising up and saying, I have to feed my family. The judges like this dink and governors like our authoritarian bully, Charlie Baker, will have no control. They'll have to say, okay, we can't bust them all. We can't put them all in jail. She will be the leader of the revolution, Shelley Luther. And I think a lot of people looking at her saying, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm desperate. I have to.
I think it's hilarious that he asked for an apology. It's like a kid like burping in class as a fourth grader. I'll let you back in the class if you apologize. Right. Like the balls it takes for a guy to say that. Like, I'll let you go because I control all this power over you if you just say you're sorry. How childish is that?
It's disgusting. It's disgusting. He's a bully. He's just an embarrassment. He's not making some kid that egged a house apart.
Right.
He's making a woman
Yeah.
It literally said, I have to feed my children. I'm desperate here. Showed no sympathy because obviously he hasn't never had to do anything like that. He just sits back and lets the taxpayers take care of him. Probably in Massachusetts, the judges have 12 weeks vacation, 12 weeks, and their pension is like 98%. It is ridiculous. It is a lifetime vacation for these people. And I'm sure it's very similar in Dallas.
Well,
She's a good guy. She's a good guy. I hope she's comfortable in jail. By the way, is he putting her in a cell with someone who's coronavirus positive? Is she going to come out of there with the virus?
Well, the good news is she won't be in there with any pedophiles or sex offenders because they're actually out on the streets. So
yeah, they're all gone. They're all out. But, here's the chart.
I gotta ask on this. It's more along the lines of how do they feel about like this judge like sitting and being on this stage and giving this amount of grief and sitting there, like at some point. I really think that the issue comes is like everyone's saying, "Oh, we'll do our part," but they don't want to let other people go back to work. I think this is going to really hit the fan when white collar jobs start to go away, because now you've seen a lot of these jobs that have gone away now are the service jobs.
State jobs are never going away. Never. There's never. In the private sector.
There may be some, like in the insurance sector and in the financial sector. There could be, and real estate sector. These if people aren't going to be in these buildings and you're not going to sell them and you're not going to do all these things, the jobs are going to go away in that sector. And that's when I think you're going to start seeing that it starts to become an urgency to get people back to work.
Obviously, I think the great division will be the dividing line will be the private sector versus the public sector. And this was a great example. This judge, it doesn't matter how bad this gets. It does not matter how strict the government gets. He will never miss a paycheck. He'll never have to worry about losing any of his benefits. He'll never have to worry about losing his pension. He can't relate to her. And I think that bugs some people, but it's not going to change. The government employees are untouchable, as my girl Ann Coulter calls them. They are America's royalty. When we have government shutdowns, you know how the media is in a panic? The government employees never miss a paycheck. They get a 3-week furlough. It gets delayed or 2 weeks or whatever it takes. They get the time off. And then when they come back, they get their back pay. So they get paid for the time off. That's something private sector employees can't relate to. In fact, you know how it's working now. Every sector, there are layoffs, furloughs, people, you have to take 3 weeks off without pay. You have to forego a raise. I mean, at my old radio, I just found this out yesterday, Cullinane. At my old radio station, they're forced to take 50% pay cuts, not 10%, not 20, 50. And they can't get any bonuses. Not that they were going to get any rating bonuses, but they had to forego those if they did get them. Yeah. And I'm sure the CEO taking no pay cut. Obviously he's losing his shirt on the stock. Yep. But it is something that people all across the private sector can relate to. They're getting forced to do more with less. And that doesn't apply in the public sector. It doesn't apply at all. In fact, they'll probably get in their usual raises and, their usual vacation time and everything else. So I think that's the clash. That's the coming showdown is private versus public sector. Yeah. And this guy, Eric Moyer, is the face of the and by the way, Andrew Cuomo is the face of the public sector. These people who don't have to lose a thing, don't sacrifice anything.
Well, also don't forget the media is a part of this as well, because they get paid as well because they're on TV. So they're part of the public sector. But it's interesting to hear all these people that in theory want to choose how we run our lives and tell us how to do it, because everything sounds good, whether it's a book or some doctor or theorist tells us that this is how we're supposed to live our lives. But instead of going out there and actually really living your lives and providing for a family and doing this and seeing how the real world really works, these people are in such a bubble. They don't understand what it takes to put bread on the table for your family.
It's so obvious, the bubble they live in. And again, I'm going to talk about him every day, but Chris Cuomo is the best example. This guy lecturing other people for walking in the park. The guy who was positive, had the coronavirus and didn't stay home and didn't quarantine and gave it to his wife and gave it to his kid and went out and looked at his property that he's got in the Hamptons where he's building a vacation home and then went home and pretended that he was in quarantine. I mean,
maybe you should put some people there, and so that they can recover there. Use it as a quarantine safe house for people instead of
built the house.
like making them deal with being in the city in those crowded hospitals.
I mean, I think he's not going to come out of this looking very good. But here's the graph I mentioned earlier. This is from the state of New York, and Cuomo showed it and admitted he was shocked by it, which surprised me. And again, I think he's doing a terrible job, but I give him credit for this. A lot of politicians would never, ever put this up on the screen. But the question is, who is getting hospitalized? What prompts you to go to the hospital, with the virus? Where did you get it is the question. Where did you get it? And the answer is nursing homes, 18%, jail or prison, less than 1%, homeless, 2%, assisted living facility, 4%, and home, 66%. So 2 out of every 3 coronavirus positive is acquired. Has been infected at home. And what do these people tell us to do? What are we being told by our government to do? One thing above all others: go home, shut the door, close the windows, sit there on the couch with your family member or in bed and infect each other. How many people got it outside? I would say, less than 1%. They have other as 8%. Maybe the subway in New York. God knows that'd be a big.
Oh, God.
But there is no evidence of outdoor transmission, and there is overwhelming evidence of indoor transmission. And we're told go home. And when you're outside, you're supposed to wear a mask, but when you're inside, you don't have to. So it's just stupid. I think more and more, again, it's day 52, and I think we've learned more each day how stupid our leaders, how wrong so many of our leaders have been.
Yeah, it's definitely a head scratcher for me. And even going back to Baker and this whole golf thing, the thing that he had his press conference and was asked the question about the golf courses in the press conference and kind of evaded it. And then all of a sudden he releases, like, who's the advisor that's talking to him, and who's he fighting? Who is the people on the other side that was giving him so much shit about like letting people go out and play?
It's a good question. Well, I think he's surrounded by like-minded bureaucrats, just people who most of them never earned a day's pay outside of the public sector, have never had a job or hired anybody or paid taxes or in the private sector.
Right.
So they don't know the effect it has. They don't care. Do you think they care?
You can feel the tide turning, right? I mean, I opened up bostonglobe.com today, and there's an editorial that's titled "Let's Go Outside." Was the Boston Globe saying let's play golf 3 days ago? Like, everything is just timed perfectly.
Yes.
Right? Like, he doesn't wear a mask. Editorial come out in the Globe. There's probably 17 other examples. And then, okay, you know what? Let's just give in. Let's just let them play golf, and let's see how the public.
Question. Well, we're learning more. I mean, obviously, when the governor of New York sits there in front of this graph, shows it on the screen, and admits he's shocked. I guess a month ago, when we were hanging on his every word, I guess we were a little too naive to think that he knew what he was talking about. It's like with I was as swept away by Fauci and his command of the room as anyone when he first started speaking every day, when the task force started coming out there. And then one day, maybe a week, 10 days after I was enthralled by Fauci and Birx, I see this video from March 9th of Fauci saying it's safe to go on a cruise. Don't let this stop you from going on a cruise. This is a week before the shutdown. This is when we knew people were dying, the virus was spreading, and the great and almighty Fauci said, don't worry about it, go on a cruise. And when you look back to what he said in January and February, repeatedly he said it's no big deal. It's like the flu. This is the smartest guy in the world. This is a guy who's been in this job for 50 years studying viruses. And he said, don't worry about getting on that, Carnival Jubilee for a week.
I would have loved to have bought Cullinane and his family a cruise trip just to see him on a cruise, like at that thing. I mean, just he would literally look like a human rubber, like with all the stuff that he would be on.
At this point, I'd rather be Rand Paul. I'd rather have the coronavirus and just move on from it. At this
It's
point.
a good point. I hate to say it, but I said this the other day. A friend of mine, he runs a business and he's taking all the precautions. He says, I want to get it. I want to get it over with. There's a chance. He's young enough. He's not elderly. He's not obese. He's got a little beer gut, but he wants to get it over with, because once you do, you can do anything. I mean, Rand Paul went to the hospital and volunteered. He did an interview with some TV person, and she stands 10 feet away, like reaching out with the mic. And she asks him, why aren't you wearing a mask? He says, I'm immune. I've had it already. And she still stands 10 feet away, like she doesn't believe him, holding out the mic. But it's true.
Man.
If you already had it and you got it over with, I got good news. You could go to Florida today for $18. A friend of mine flew to Palm Beach or West Palm on Monday.
And they're open too.
One way for $18.
That's awesome. Well, their golf courses, restaurants, and everything's opening down there in Florida. If you're outdoor, you're able to go sit in the outdoor restaurant. Inside, they've taken away like it's 40%. But those people they're starting to really get moving down in Florida and getting their asses out back there and getting out in the good weather. We just saw, by another 3.2 million people are unemployed this week, for a total of 22.6. It looks like 22.6 million people.
7-week tally mute of 33.5.
Yeah.
But, if it saves one life, we have to stay inside. I think, and I've been saying this for weeks, at Cullinane, that we are going to look back on this 6 months, 8 months, 2 years from now and say, what an idiotic strategy. Why did we listen? Why did we abide by this foolish strategy? Destroyed the U.S. economy when we knew early on who was vulnerable. We knew who we had to protect. It is insane that people still think, and I point out the poll I said yesterday in Massachusetts, 2/3 of people think we should continue the shutdown indefinitely. As they watch the economy that was built over decades go down the drain, and 33 million apply for unemployment, and they say, what's the big deal? It saves one life. I don't get it. I don't understand why people aren't waking up, that we know who's vulnerable. We know who to protect, who should quarantine. We know quarantining the healthy is madness. But
you're not supposed to quarantine healthy, especially kids. They actually need to be out for their immune system, be out exposed to some of this. And as you're out in public right now, and you're seeing this, is like we've moved the goalposts in our goals in this. No one explains it, which is the thing that's like, again, we're like, they're patting us on the head and be like, don't worry, just do what we tell you. Like, again, back to the sheep, like instead of the whole reason we didn't do this, like, support your grandma and grandpa and don't overwhelm the hospitals. Well, in Massachusetts right now, the percent of people that are hospitalized because of coronavirus is 5. It's 5. 5% of people are required to be in hospitalization for coronavirus right now. So I understand that you did it at the beginning, but please explain to me why the goals have changed, who changed the goals, and what are the goals right now? Because no one's communicating that. You know what they are doing? They're telling us what we can and can't do. They're lecturing us on how to live, but they're not providing any answers.
No,
they're not providing any reasoning for their thinking. They're just telling us what to do without any process.
And it's pure panic porn. It's like I said this at the beginning, the governors will try to overreact each other. And in most places, we see it continue still. And it's mostly liberals like Charlie Baker and our mayor in Boston, Marty Walsh, and Connecticut, New Jersey, New York. These people they want to overreact everyone because if it saves one life, as that idiot Cuomo said a month ago, we have to do whatever it takes. When at the same time you see 33 million unemployed, how many lives do you think that takes?
A lot more than people realize. And when are people going to understand that you cannot prevent people from getting sick? I hate to break it to you. People are going to get sick. And another thing that's going to happen, I know this is crazy, people are going to die. And the fact of the matter is that if you're saying that you can't put people back to work because of fear of getting sick or dying, you can't control these things sometimes. And the fact that you're trying to control it is just you're either extremely naive, or you have extreme ambition that you're trying to prove your worth to people so that you get elected and put in a position of power.
You have dopes like Reamer yesterday who said 50 times, how many deaths is enough for you? And it's just you just flip it over. How many unemployed are enough for you? How many bankrupt businesses are enough for you?
And I'm not trying to be callous, but
if you quarantine a 75 and 80-year-old in a nursing home or an assisted living facility, how does the 25-year-old who goes to work in construction affect the 80-year-old in the nursing home? I don't understand. I guess I'm not smart enough to see the connection. I have to be Charlie Baker or Chris Cuomo to understand how a 25-year-old construction worker going in and, whatever, putting the siding on a building affects the 80-year-old in a nursing home, 10 miles away. I don't get it. I never will. Hopefully, more people are figuring it out.
But why can't I don't understand why these officials, the government officials, aren't telling us what the new goal is, right?
Well, it changes.
Not the original goal, but there's no new goal, and yet we're still doing the same thing. That has proven to not be as effective as they had hoped for, because the other places that have not had such strict quarantine, and now granted those are less populous areas, but have not seen the negative effects like New York and everything has. So now that the goal has changed, we found out that everything else has changed. Why are they not communicating what they're trying to do now? Because I don't know.
It depends what day it is. I mean, it started off, you need to flatten the curve. Then you need to prevent the hospitals from being overwhelmed. That was prevented. That never happened. In most of the country, just the opposite. Hospitals are furloughing people, laying people off because they have no business. And then when that wasn't the case, it changed to something else that we had to prevent the spike. We don't want the spike. If we go back to work, a spike, or you get this idiotic take again. Our friend Alex Reamer says you only get one chance at this. Well, no, you don't. The virus is not going away. The virus, there is no vaccine. There will be people getting sick. In fact, there will be people dying. Yep. But you have to allow people to go back to work. You have to save the economy, especially because it doesn't affect the people quarantined. Again, it doesn't matter to that poor 80-year-old. They're doing the same thing whether we go back to work or not. They're quarantined in the nursing home. Their life sucks. It's sad. They can't see their grandkids. It's awful. But they're doing the same thing, whether we go back to work or not. It doesn't affect them. But whatever. We're dealing with idiots. We're dealing with scared people. We're dealing with mere sheep who said, I'll put a mask on when I go out to the beach or out to the sun in the wind when I really don't need it. But you told me to. So I'll do it anyway. I'll do what I'm told. And it's going to
a couple more shepherds out there, Gerry. Maybe you should be a shepherd. Go buy a staff and start walking around Charlestown with a shepherd staff. I think you should do that. The next meeting they have in front of Charlie Baker, you just hold that big shepherd staff right in front of everyone.
I was looking forward to that day when the golf courses rebelled and opened against the wishes of Baker. But I guess Baker's not as dumb as I thought. He knew he couldn't win that. He knew he would look bad like that judge in Dallas. If he started ordering the arrest of golfers as they're putting out or teeing off, it would have been national news. It would have looked terrible. So at least Baker's smart enough to know he couldn't win that. So he said, and I think he's smart enough to know there is no danger, that there is no threat to anybody if you allow.
I just want to know who the advisor was.
Fairway with a bag of clubs.
Yeah, I just want to know who the advisor was that was giving him this, holding so strongly against this. Like all the other states around us did it, and yet he was just dug in. And I want to know what was the reasoning behind it. Because
the reason is he doesn't want to be blamed for anything. It's a cover your ass thing. That's part of it. And the other part is right now he has an 85% approval rating. Right now the Globe loves him. Right now, the Harvard faculty loves him. The medical community loves him. All the upper crust, they all are big Charlie Baker fans. And the greenskeeper at some course in Worcester, he doesn't give a shit about him. He doesn't care about actual people that work for a living. They are collateral damage. His goal is to keep his approval rating as high as it is. That's all that matters to Charlie Baker. And he's pulling it off, man. Like I said, 85% approve of the job he's doing. I don't know who these people are. I'm ashamed of them. I'm disappointed in them. I don't understand why more people aren't fighting for the the Cara Cullens and the Shelley Luthers out there. Maybe Culline's right. The tide is turning. Hopefully it's turning, because I don't know. You know better than I would. How many more weeks of we're at 33 million new unemployed. Do we have to get to 40? Do we have to get to 50 before people say enough? We gotta open things up and
just remember in the Great Depression, I believe unemployment at its peak was 25.3%. And if this continues the way it's going to go, you're going to pass that. And really think about what comes with unemployment is way worse. The inability to pay bills, and the inability to house your families, feed your families, and everything else becomes not to mention depression and all that.
This was voluntary. This was a decision the government made, the federal government, the state governments. The businesses were doing fine. It wasn't their fault. They weren't over leveraged. It wasn't some housing crisis caused by Barney Frank and his ilk, who decided to give loans to unqualified people or force banks to do that. There's something generally inept or nefarious even that leads to collapses in economies, correct? There was nothing done in the private sector that caused this. People like Shelley Luther and Cara Cullen and various business owners and restaurateurs and stores, they were doing fine. The government forced this on them. They didn't do anything wrong. So this is the first time in human history we have a recession, maybe a depression, that was voluntary, that the government, the country decided, let's tank our economy to protect our vulnerable.
Well, Rob O'Neill kind of mentioned it last week, and after listening back, we forgot to say it. The biological warfare of maybe China in putting this on us is the issue in where we're at right now, because that's the issue that got us into this, is this virus that may have been. Now, this is his words. He said that it was the biological war that they're fighting against us. That could be it. It's just interesting to see. It's interesting to see how this is playing out, and it's kind of, to my point, a little bit scary to see these people making all these decisions and doing what they're doing.
Are you putting masks on your children, forcing them when they go? Good, because I think, and this is another thing, I was just watching a segment, believe it or not, on CNN on the psychological damage that this is causing, and people are going to therapy. I think the damage you do to a 5-year-old by putting a mask on them and telling them out there somewhere is this, as Trump likes to say, this invisible enemy, this scary, this boogeyman, this monster is going to come get them. That does more damage than you could ever do without a mask. I mean, kids aren't getting it. They're not giving it. It's just not happening. Kids aren't in danger here. You should not be forcing a child to wear a mask unless you're, into child abuse. That's stupid. You are going to scar that kid, perhaps, permanently. The kid's going to go out. He's going to become one of these germaphobe weirdos that doesn't want to leave the house without a mask or doesn't want to touch anything. He's going to turn into Howie Mandel. Just let the kid be a kid. But
that's the truth. It's you're seeing that, and even you talk to the kids, is like you're going to, whether it's a birthday parade or anything, and you get the comments like, is that safe? Am I allowed to pet the dog that's coming down the street with the neighbor? Am I allowed to do that? And now that you're creating that psychology in them, it's interesting to hear how they handle it. Like, they have an idea on why you're put in this position, but when you start to talk to them in certain levels and the concern that they have, it's interesting. And now you're hearing that, like, our school's even going to open in September. Like some of these colleges and stuff, you worry about that. Who's going to pay the professors at these colleges?
I know, it is amazing. Schools should be open now, especially elementary schools. I mean, kids, middle schools, they're in no danger. They should be in school. What they're doing now is much less healthy, much more dangerous for them than going to school. But we're going to talk some sports. Okay, we're going to talk some sports. There's a great story. There's a great story about Baltimore Ravens safety Earl Thomas, superstar Earl Thomas. We're going to talk about Earl Thomas.
He's definitely not quarantining, by the way.
Yes, right.
Not safe distance.
But it is the best sports story of the day, and we'll get to that and a few other things here. But can you do me a favor, Mute, and talk to Cullen? I know it's a lot. I'm going to run to get my my copy, my ad copy off the
nice.
printer. Okay,
Wow,
so
you go get that. Wouldn't let you. Neither of you guys would let me get a word in during that little argument. I was about to say, and this is the off-air show right now. I was about to say that it doesn't feel like the economic factor, the numbers that you were referencing, are playing a part in any of the decision making, especially at least not locally, right? Like these golf courses aren't opening because there's 25,000 jobs at stake in Massachusetts. They're open because people have shamed them to make them realize you can golf and be 6 feet apart from somebody at the same time.
Yeah,
and do jobs.
And I think the biggest misconception, and this is the thing that people I don't think are understanding, is that the government cannot in perpetuity keep writing checks to people. Like these things were meant to be a help to get through a once in a lifetime crisis. There's a finite amount of money. Like people don't understand that you can't just all of a sudden just start cutting checks to people all the time. That eventually will run out. So if you don't, you can't keep propping this up. And if they don't understand that at some point you have to get back to work, otherwise the government can't support it. It just won't collapse.
Yeah. I don't know.
That there's not an unlimited supply of money out there.
No. Did you see, actually, speaking of that, because we're not going to get to it on the show, did you see the little Twitter beef going on between Axl Rose and Steve Mnuchin?
Oh my God.
It's not even explained. Axl Rose just comes out of nowhere. I'm not a huge Guns N' Roses guy, but I'll support Axl Rose.
I mean, Axl
Rose, but he just randomly was like, "This proves that Steve Mnuchin is an asshole," and Mnuchin just fired back at him like, "What have you done for America today?" But I don't even know why Axl Rose said that. I guess he's just calling him an asshole.
Did Mnuchin fire back? Why do you look like the mother from the Goonies, Mrs. Patelli, now instead of a grown man? I would have gone with that line. That
I don't know who I was rooting for in the Mnuchin Axl Rose. It's just one of those fights that every day they pop up, and it kind of gets tedious. Axl Rose versus Mnuchin Rose.
There's no background to it though. I don't even understand.
His wife's hot though. She's really hot.
I know, they're the ones that they had quite a wedding, but I don't. He gives me the creeps. Mnuchin, I have to admit, Mnuchin and
gives you the creep or Axl Rose because he looks like
they both give me the creeps. Mnuchin just looks like a bad guy in a movie, and so does Jared Kushner. By the way, Jared Kushner looks like the most. He looks like an evil guy in a Bond movie.
Yeah, and he's working.
That's actually a good comp. A Bond. He doesn't. He doesn't give me the warm and fuzzies. He gives me the cool and creepies. Like if I was in a room alone with him, I'd want my back right on the door so I could sneak out.
Right. I think I understand why Trump wanted his daughter to marry Tom Brady. It wasn't so much his love for Brady. He just didn't want that Kushner guy.
He says that to Kushner, like, why can't you be more like Tom Brady instead of this spineless, cold kind of calculating, money grubbing weirdo?
He needs some sun and some air. Maybe he's been quarantined too long.
No, but he looked like that last year. And
that's true.
He's like if you told him, he's the type of guy that'd be like, "Hey, Jared, why don't you just relax and hang out?" He might like loosen his tie a little bit. Like I think he sleeps in a suit. Like,
and I think he sleeps in a coffin. That's what I think. But anyway, we'll get to Earl Thomas. We'll tell you all about Earl Thomas's escapades during this lockdown. He's having more fun, at least he was for a while, than most of us. But first, let me tell you about Shea Concrete. Shea Concrete does it right. I've been up to their big Amesbury headquarters, and they keep their distance. They wear their mask, they wear their gloves, and they do business. They are a great American company. And if you go up and see them, you don't have to worry because they'll take all the precautions. We talked about this with Reamer. Again, I hate to pick on Reamer, but hey, that's what we do. And he talked about how he felt so bad for the elderly or the obese person who has to go to work. And I'm saying, are you paying attention? They don't go to work. If you have a company and you have someone who's vulnerable or they have diabetes, they say stay home and get better and wait this out. That's what they do. That's what good companies do. The people, the young, healthy people who want to work, they go to work. And there's a lot of them at Shea Concrete. That's why they're kicking ass. That's why you can go see them today. They have 4 state-of-the-art manufacturing facilities around New England, and they're there to help. If you're a contractor, some of the things Shea can deliver to your job site, ready for installation whenever you are. It depends what city you're in, but some places they're doing construction, they're doing work now, And Shea is ready to deliver this stuff to your job site now. Water and wastewater products, underground stormwater systems, barriers and bullets, stairs and bulkheads, deck footings, electrical and communication products. The list goes on and on. The guys at Shea can do it all. And if you're an engineer, Shea can help you out. I know how tough that is, how confusing it can be, a lot of hard work. Well, they can help. They can design your next project with you. So give them a call for more information or for an estimate, or just go see them. They're ready. They're open for business. Shea Concrete, or check them out at sheaconcrete.com.
Jerry, where can I get one of them hats? Because I'm a big hat guy. As a bald guy that sweats a ton,
I need to get a bunch.
I need one of those.
We need to. This is where the merch starts, Colin. Shea Concrete, because they have great merch.
And shepherd staffs. That's what you should start selling. Get a Shea Concrete shepherd staff. That's what you need.
It has to be cool and practical. Shea Concrete hats and shirts and all their stuff. And they're, I gave Colin a whole bucket. Shea Concretes have buckets full of their stuff, their hats and shirts and calendars and pens. I just had one in my hand. A great chunk. Check it out. See this? Can you see this? It's a Shea Concrete pen. And you know why it's so great to work with at night? You hit the little button. See that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's convenient.
You'll never get lost.
So it's a flashlight / pen, and it says right on it, Shea Concrete. But anyway, we're working on that. We got a lot of things. Working on a lot of things. So
is Earl Thomas.
Earl Thomas working on a lot of things. Earl Thomas, if you missed it, there's a TMZ story, and you know what? TMZ is usually right. It ain't CNN. In fact, I don't know if CNN or Earl. The death of Kim Jong-un was reported, I believe, by CNN, and they were wrong. But TMZ was right there with them, and TMZ was the reason I believed it. The reason lots of people believed it is because CNN is usually wrong and TMZ is usually right.
So wait, is Kim Jong-un not dead?
He is not dead.
So they said he has a lookalike. Is this like a real life version of Dave?
That could be. Yeah, they say he has a lookalike. They say he staged his fake death to smoke out some traitors.
Yes,
ranks. But
let's see. I want to see some executions. That would be some good. That's some good. What is it? Military regime or authoritative rule?
Right.
That's how you do it. Take your death and start killing all your conspirators. Now that's the way to do it.
Yes. Although, let's be honest, he's not going to live forever. He's vulnerable. You want to talk about quarantining the vulnerable?
He's very vulnerable.
I mentioned this the other day. He's 300. He's 5'6", 300 pounds. Ooh. And according to Dr. Siegel on Fox, he said he smokes 4 packs a day, and he drinks wine and I think it's cognac, very expensive Hennessy or something.
Good for
him. He spends more on cognac than the average family of 5 makes in a year. I mean, he's a pig. He's going to die, before his time. And when that day comes, we'll all rejoice.
Well, Jerry,
except for Trump, he'll say, "Oh, I feel bad." Trump, the dumbest tweet of all, saying he was happy that Kim Jong-un pulled through and he's healthy. I don't know why anyone would be happy about that, but hey.
Well, as the old saying goes, Jerry, all of us die, but very few of us really live. So yeah, Kim Jong seems to be living. If he's spending that much on cognac, and I tip my hat to him. Go get him, Kim. You deserve to. If you die right now, at least you've lived a full life. You've done it.
I believe that quote is attributed to William Wallace, one William Wallace. But
is it that or is it Sinatra? I didn't know.
One of them, one of those greats. But anyway, Earl Thomas, Baltimore Ravens safety, used to be the Seahawks safety, stud, future Hall of Famer. He had a fight with his wife, and let's be honest, many of us can relate to this the other day.
Wait, relate to the fight or what happens after the fight?
We'll get to that. Earl Thomas is only 30. Doesn't seem like he's been around longer than that. Anyway, he had a fight.
Well, he's got in the league. I think he was 21 years old. So
he had a fight early in the morning with his wife. You know what it was over? Like many of us during this shutdown, lockdown, over his excessive drinking. I don't know if he was drinking in the morning, cracking a beer with breakfast, but she got all over his shit for being for drinking too much. He left the house in a huff, and apparently A short time later, she was trying to find out where he was. She checked his Snapchat account, according to TMZ, and found
Government needs
a
to hire
video
her, by the way.
of him with another woman. Not just another woman. She tracked him down. His location was at an Airbnb nearby, a rental home. He wasn't just with another woman. He was with 2 other women and his brother. So
That is not.
I think you're allowed to do that. There's fewer than 10
not
people.
6 feet apart.
Hey, that's true. There's fewer than 10 people. He is within the rules to some degree. Yeah.
I mean, I could do lots of things with my brother. I've played golf with him, hung out with him, drank with him back in the day, and I don't think I could have an orgy with my brother. I'm not sure I got an orgy with anybody.
Ring the doorbell and say I'm here for the gangbang and just jump right in. That's not you. That's not you.
What you rub up against. I mean, I don't want to be touching, my brother if we're in bed naked with 2 women. But anyway, Earl Thomas
That's got to be a massive party foul.
apparently comes from a close family.
But that's ew.
But the best part is she tracks him down to the house and kicks in the door or just walks in the door and finds him in the sack with the 2 women and his brother. So he's spending quality time with the family.
Good sibling time. Yep. Waited.
She's got a loaded, what is it, a Beretta 99 millimeter Beretta, and she holds it.
That's the Martin Riggs special from Lethal Weapon.
She holds it to his head. I don't know what happened next in the movies.
Wait, which head? The one on his shoulders or the other one that made the decision to get the Airbnb?
I would think this is at 3:41. So he left in the morning because he was drinking too much, and she tracks him down many, many hours later. Cops arrived. They observed a black female wearing an orange sweater with a knife in her hand, chasing a shirtless black male, later identified as Earl Thomas, with a pistol in his hand.
Oh,
so he got the gun away from her. She didn't care. She brought a knife. Maybe she had it in her sock or ankle, and continued to chase him around. But
she brought a backup weapon. Hey, you can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning, Gerry. So I give Earl Thomas credit for that.
She arrived, quote, she discovered Earl and his brother Seth naked in bed with the women. I hope it was a king size.
Is Seth going to get invited over for Mother's Day dinner this weekend, or is he kind of persona non grata in the house now?
I'm not sure what you charge. I guess you charge her. She's booked. There's a TMZ's got the mug shot of Nina. So she got busted. I don't know. I guess he didn't.
Wait, you're not allowed to chase your cheating husband around with a gun and a knife? That's illegal.
I would think the judge would have some sympathy. I mean, it's not like she opened up a business or went in and cut someone's hair.
Did she have a mask on? Did she at least have a mask on so she didn't infect?
That's a good question. Probably not.
That's disappointing. She's really not obeying a lot of these rules.
In an interview with Earl's mistress,
Yeah.
She claimed that Nina, Earl's wife, threatened her and the other women, pointing the gun at them and yelling, "I got something for you, hoes."
I thought Earl Thomas had something for the hoes first. Apparently, didn't he have something?
Yeah, they're going to have some serious makeup sex, but that's the last time she gives him a hard time for having a beer with breakfast. I mean, it's a lockdown. What else are you going to do?
Right.
So Earl Thomas, he gets tipped off that this is coming. And any genius in a situation like this, he says to himself, I got to get out in front of this one. So he takes to, I don't know if this was on Instagram or Snapchat, but this was him last night.
So my agent just hit me and said that I'm going to be on TMZ tomorrow from an altercation that happened with me and Nina. So just want to get ahead of it. And I mean, it's really not anybody's business. It pissed me off that it got out, but it's the world we live in today. But instead of talking about us, just keep us in y'all prayers. And stuff like this happens, bro. We try to live the best lives we possibly can, but sometimes it don't go as planned. Just pray for us, as we go through this stuff. We're back talking. I'm seeing my kids. So just keep us in your prayers.
So they're working through their issues.
Hold on.
Stop the prayer. Stop.
I think we should pray together. We should pray together. Let's
virtual hold hand here.
Virtual hold hands. Come on, let me hold your hand. Dear God in heaven, dear Lord, please bless Earl Thomas and his crazy wife Nina. Allow him next time to sneak out and have an orgy in peace. I mean, we all have to blow off a little steam.
I don't know. This
isn't right.
I mean, no offense.
Debatable. This one's debatable. You said crazy wife. The dude's having an orgy with his brother. I mean, there's a mix. This is double crazy. If you ask me, this is
you think
he's holding the gun on the women, saying, "I got something for you, hoes." And I mean, she's a little out of control. Here's what she should do. She should go right from the love nest there, the little orgy house, to a lawyer and say, "I want a divorce. I want half or whatever, more than half. I want the kids. I want to get that cheating bastard out of my life." I mean, I don't think there's any coming back from this. I really don't. But
hey, I mean, well, the good thing is, everyone used to give Tiger shit for his cheating, and crashing the car. This replaces that. This is like that on steroids. I mean, like Tiger she just hit his car with a golf club and he just smashed his car. This woman brought a Beretta and a knife and threatened these hoes. Like, I mean, that's impressive. This is
nobody's business. I got news for you, Earl. You're wearing this one. You are owning this one for the rest.
How did Earl, like Kobe Bryant, like he had to buy like a huge diamond. Remember, he bought his wife like an $8 million
diamond. It worked. It worked, by the way. It worked. No one has ever gotten past a scandal as successfully. No one as successfully as Kobe Bryant. I mean, as evidenced by the.
But Earl Thomas.
But this is funny. Why can't it be a Patriot? Patriots never do stuff like this. I mean, they occasionally murder people, but they never have
murder and
fun stories like this.
What was the guy who was stoned in Foxborough? Just like who was that? I'm forgetting.
Chandler Jones was naked.
Oh yeah, he had some bad weed
on some synthetic weed. Yes. But Earl Thomas will be around.
To what Chandler Jones's brothers do, like they've been busted for PEDs and other stuff too in their Ultimate Fighting careers, right? But
I think we can agree that the lockdown is like lockdown psychosis. Some people are handling it better than others. Some are losing their minds, and this is something, again, the public officials, the Cuomos and the Bakers don't care about. They don't care about the collateral damage, the secondary, repercussions of people with alcoholism and drugs and domestic violence. And I think as a city, this is no surprise, as a city, San Francisco has lost its mind like no other place. Yesterday, this story broke, and I had to read it twice. It is remarkable. I think I've found out what I want to do in my next life. I mean, I don't know what you feel like, Mute or Cullinane. What in my next life, I used to think, what I used to think I'd like to do in my next life is learn finance and be in like one of these guys like you, Mute, who know the market and make a fortune. I want to be a hedge fund guy, even though I don't even know what a hedge fund is. I decided I got another plan in my next life. I want to be a homeless person in San Francisco, because I don't think anyone gets treated quite as well. San Francisco during this pandemic has a solution to homelessness. They're putting homeless people in hotels. Now, generally you hear that, you say that won't work because they want to do drugs, they want to drink, they have mental issues, they're going to just leave. Well, San Francisco has solved that problem. They're putting the homeless people in hotels and they're supplying them with alcohol, drugs, and alcohol, marijuana, and quote, other substances. The city is bringing booze, and I'm trying to find out like what kind of booze. Is it like shelf stuff that Kim Jong-un drinks?
Yeah.
Or and
like
what are the other
substances? Yeah, that's a good question. Maybe Earl Thomas should have been in San Francisco, and then he would have just been able to fly under the radar because he could have just like snuck into there with the homeless hotels. But that sounds like a pretty good gig.
It sounds like they're living like the rest of us, except they don't have bills to pay. They don't have to worry about when they're going to go back to work because they don't work. They just in a nice hotel.
Spa treatments available? Are you able to get a spa treatment? Maybe get a pedicure, manicure?
Room service. That's next. Yeah. That's years ago.
No habitation, though, right?
And you know what?
They need to give them proper safety measures, I assume,
right now in the mayor's office and somewhere in San Francisco, there's some idiot liberal bureaucrat saying, why do we have so many homeless? It's a mystery. Why do we have so many homeless? There was a few years ago in San Francisco, they had a plan. I don't think it lasted, but they had a plan to find a way to allow homeless people, bums, to take credit cards. They had some small machine that they were able to donate to homeless people with a credit card. I don't think it lasted. I think they sold their machines. They lost them. But I mean, just think of the insanity in the mind of a liberal who says we have to do something about these homeless people because some of them had the virus and some of them weren't social distancing. Let's put them in a hotel and give them booze. Maybe they make the drinks for them. Maybe they open the bar and just say, have an open bar. And then they get room service, get a Marriott burger or some big breakfast at the Hilton and then drink all day.
That's a pretty good life. Do you ever wonder, Gerry, like what it would be like if you were on like the focus group that these people were discussing that? Like if you're the common sense guy, right? Like there's a focus group that's discussing how to get rid of homelessness. Okay, let's get everyone credit cards. And you're the guy sitting in there scratching your head and ask the logical question, like, how does this work and solve the problem? And everybody else thinks that it's a genius idea and signs off on it. And you're the guy that just shakes your head and out of the meeting.
It's a bunch of crazy liberals who are in San Francisco who think it solves the problem. I mean, obviously it doesn't. It makes it worse, but they don't care. It makes them feel good for a day, and that's all that matters. They feel good for a day.
Feed them for a day instead of teaching them how to feed themselves for a lifetime, Gerry.
They get to use the showers and the soap and the shampoo in the hotel, or no need.
What about the robe? Like the robe's the best part. Probably laying around in the robe.
What about the poor guy who has to go in after they're gone because they won't? Here's what will happen: they'll hang out, they'll drink, eat, whatever for a day or two, and then they'll just drift off because they don't want to be in there. They don't want to be trapped in there. But whatever, they'll come up with a new way. Maybe shower in their clothes. That's a good question. They'll bring them new clothes. That's the solution. But quickly, before we wrap this up, I feel like you're we talk about this every week, and we'll continue to talk about the return of sports. Yesterday, there was a story that baseball is going to have spring training in the middle of June, start playing games at the beginning of July. I don't care. I have no interest. It doesn't interest me. Basketball and hockey are still talking about some tournament. I'll watch, but not that important. This morning, Clay Travis is reporting, according to him, that the SEC is planning to play, that they're all going back to school. And if they go back to school, that's the last hurdle. If everyone's back in school, then the football team can play. If there's no one back in school, they can't. So I think the last of the SEC schools declared that the school will commence in the fall. So that means football will commence. And I think the NFL, as always, will have one up on every other league, as always, will be the one thing everyone cares about. And I can't picture Roger Goodell ever saying, let me wait. Let's see how all our elected officials see what they think. He's going to take the lead and say, screw it. We're the NFL. We own the world. We're playing. They will not play in front of packed houses, but they'll have some fans. There'll be some noise, and they'll be back on TV, which is all that matters. As you know, in the NFL, I think it's 85% of the revenues from TV.
Yeah.
In college football, it's the opposite. It's like 80% of the revenues at the gate. So they need fans. The NFL doesn't.
Well, this is the ultimate thing that makes it is right. The old dollar sign. That's what really coming into effect here. And everyone gives Goodell crap, but he's the mouthpiece for the 32 other owners, and those guys want their dollar bills. And if they're going to get it, they're going to have football. And that's the whole thing in the SEC too. Everyone thinks it's fine to stay out of school and not be back in school and not do this until it starts to affect paychecks. And when you're down south, the amount of money that goes to those schools from athletics, especially from football, the amount that you support those schools, people realizing that we need to get that money in the door. Otherwise, there's going to be a lot more people without jobs down here, and the school's not going to get the amount of funding, and the professors that have those nice cushy jobs aren't going to be getting paychecks because no one's going to be there.
I think there'll be, some infections. There'll be some people who test positive, some players, coaches, whatever. And you know what they'll do? They'll sideline them for 2 weeks, and they'll isolate them. And another guy infection, then he'll isolate. 3 or 4 on every team get it. They'll deal with it. They will not shut down the league, I don't think.
No.
The last I heard, I think Peter King was saying that they're looking at starting maybe early October and playing 14 games, skipping the bye and pushing the Super Bowl back 1 week. That sounds fine to me. I'm never quite ready, first week of September. It still feels like summer. I don't mind if they shorten seasons. Obviously, baseball should have been shortened a long time ago.
Right.
Hockey and basketball have no choice. But if they shorten football in the NFL to 14, if they shorten college to 10, that's fine with me.
Yeah, it's so far out. I mean, you admire them for thinking out, that far out, but there's just so many things that can change. Think about how we change on a day-to-day basis with this thing. So to make those decisions now, I think is a little bit hasty. There's going to be a lot more playing out into this situation. And as people, we understand it more and understand how to treat it and what we're supposed to do. I really think that this is going to be dramatically different. It's the environment may be different, but I think to make these decisions right now is irresponsible.
Right. You don't have to. But here's what's going to happen. NASCAR is back next week.
Yeah.
Golf is going to come back soon. I mean, I think. Well, it's not the first match, but the golf match with Tiger and Brady and Peyton Manning and Phil is going to be huge.
Then there's one with DJ and McElroy and
that one which is, I believe, for charity. That one with Fowler. That'll be good. That'll be big. Anything that goes on TV is going to do great, as we see the numbers with the Jordan documentary and anything that's on these days.
Look at draft. Look at the numbers on the draft.
The draft, which wasn't a great production, but it was something to watch that wasn't, recorded from 12 years ago.
Right. And then don't forget that the networks don't forget that it's not just the league that's pressing for this, it's the networks. These networks already are out of pocket all the money that they paid for these contracts for these sports leagues. So there's the reason that Disney and what is it, and NBC and Entercom and all these people are trying to get, and Viacom are trying to get all these games out, and Fox, because they paid it for these games to be out there, and they want live broadcast and sports, because that brings advertising dollars, that brings everything else. The trickle down from what sports brings to people is so important to these networks, and they got to start it back. They have to find a way. They're rushing to find a way to get these back. And I think
here's my prediction: the shutdown will devastate basketball, hockey, and baseball. It will devastate their revenue, their numbers, their attendance, their interest. It will hurt. They might bounce back next year, but it will. For this year, I mean, that's not a bold prediction. Clearly, hockey and basketball, are going to end up having like 2 weeks to play, if they play at all. And baseball was already on the cusp of irrelevance. I mean, Boston's the best example. Nobody cares about the Red Sox right now. They're out of sight, out of mind. Their ratings were horrendous last year. They'll be worse this year. And football will somehow, some way benefit. It'll be this glorious, symbolic comeback, reopening, and it'll feel like that day in September, October, whenever it is that they kick off that first NFL game, which will be Kansas City against Tampa.
Wow, yeah, something like that. Schedule's been out, right? His schedule's getting released, I think, today.
Is it today? That opens up on a Thursday night with Tampa, Kansas City. It'll be enormous. It'll be it'll be AFC title numbers. Everyone will watch, and it'll feel like after 9/11, football was like this big part of the comeback. That's how it's going to feel. Things always go right for the NFL, not so much for other sports. So I predict the comeback for the whole country.
You really think that it's
all around the NFL?
Basketball and hockey are going to suffer from this. I mean, obviously baseball is going to. From what I've heard is that hockey is they're opening up the facilities this week. That their players are allowed to start going back to work out. I'm hearing June 1, they're going to start like a modified training camp. They're going to start finish off the regular season. They're going to play 76 games starting July 1st.
For who? Baseball?
For hockey. And then hockey's going to
76 games?
Yeah, 76 games total. They have to finish they want to finish the regular season to do it.
I thought you meant starting now. How many have they played so far?
I believe that they've gotten in the 60s. So it's going to be another like 12 to 15 games. Then they're going to do the playoffs, best of 7 in the playoffs. That will end, and then they're going to restart the season in November or December and I heard Gary Bettman wants to run it through the summer so that they're going to compete against baseball. And he wants to kind of move the timeline for hockey.
It's going to feel stupid and awkward. I mean, I give him credit for trying. You got to try, but it's not going to feel real. The only sport that's going to feel real is football, as always. football, and I think college football will not benefit, will be celebrated as kind
It'll
of
be the number. College football will be the number 2 rated sport if this continues coming out of it, right behind the NFL, because that's what's going to happen.
number
And
3. It'll be the
look
number 3 rated sport. First and foremost is going to be Trump versus Biden.
Oh,
If
God.
they have those 3 debates, if they start debating in August and September, those numbers will be bigger than Brady versus Mahomes, bigger than anything, because that'll be the national pastime.
Do you think that John Henry's happy that we're talking about the coronavirus and not about the Red Sox, and the fact that they think their starting pitchers got Tommy John surgery and their manager got fired for cheating? Do you
I
think
don't think he's happy about anything. His baseball team is a disaster. It's totally irrelevant. His newspaper is failing. It's on his last legs. I mean, I don't think he's thrilled about anything. And I don't know where he is. Is he isolating on his 200-foot yacht somewhere?
I don't know. I'm isolated in my house. I haven't gotten outside of my hometown for a while. Although I think I'm gonna venture out today. I can't tell you where I'm going, but I'm gonna get in my car and I'm going to another town. I am.
I've used my car once in the last month. I'm not kidding. Once in a month. My wife's like, you got to start it up to make sure it still runs.
Really, gas is like $1.87 a gallon. Just go fill it up.
Driving. I just walk everywhere, or I ride my bike, or I did until it got stolen. But anyways, I'll let you. Are you going to play any golf?
Yeah, hopefully. I mean,
I wanted to golf
this
against
weekend.
the law, though. I wanted to be. I was hoping we could be rebels and play and get, defy
Trouble a little bit.
the state.
Yeah, I got from my club. They gave us the new rules and how they're going to be. You can only one person in a cart unless you live with that person. Then you can have 2 people in the cart. I got a friend who goes. I got a friend who goes to a bar against the law. He goes in. They draw the blinds or whatever, and they don't. No one knows they're in there. But he goes in there with a few people. The owner lets him in, and Does he smoke?
And they drink. I don't know. They don't smoke. They drink. But I said that sounds like fun. It feels like going to a speakeasy, in Chicago after Prohibition. It feels like you're really defying the system. I'd like to do that. Maybe I'll do something like that. I feel like I got
breaking the law. You seem to be like scratching that rebel itch of yours. You're going to these rallies. You're breaking curfew. What's the next thing? I mean, golf was going to be your thing. Are you just going to open up a business? Maybe start cutting people's hair in the middle of child.
Good idea. I know. I need to do something against the decree. I'm going to I want to be like they made toys against the Meister Burger when they made outlawed toys.
Yeah.
They made them
anyway. Go in Whole Foods at Charlestown, take your shirt off and just scream with no mask on.
Going to touch all the vegetables.
Yeah,
I don't want
to like that. Some dramatic. Stand on something so everyone can see you.
Well, I tell you what I am going to do. I'm going to go for a jog without a mask. If that gets me in trouble, then I hope you come visit me in prison, because I'm going to do it. I can't imagine running, jogging.
It's probably safer. You'll just be in there with hairstylists, bar owners, restaurant owners, while the pedophiles and the sexual offenders are running around town. So perfect. Good for you. You're safer in there, Gerry.
All right, mute man. I'll let you go do whatever the hell you're up to. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I'm venturing out. I'm crossing. I'm actually going to cross Boston. I'm going to go from my South Shore. I'm going to cross the city. I haven't seen the city since March 13th. Wow. You're somewhere over there. So
there's no traffic, but there's more than there was a month ago. There are lots of people venturing out. There's not.
Yeah, I'm getting out. You watch it. I'm on the run.
There. But anyway, mute man, thanks. Thanks to Shea Concrete. Thanks to Allied Paving. Thanks to DCU. Thanks to everyone who's been listening, rating, and reviewing. We're getting a lot of reviews, Cullen. A lot of ratings.
Yes, they help. Keep them coming. We appreciate it.
How do you do that? You just go to
go to Apple Podcasts. You just kind of scroll down past the episodes, and there's a rating. It just says create a rating or a review, and leave it right there.
What do you want them to say? Other than I hate Reamer, what do you want them to say?
And besides that, I'm boring. I'm not boring.
Just type up this. Like, I love this podcast, but I do still hate Reamer. That's all you got to do.
We got a great review from somebody on Twitter. Just said they loved the podcast yesterday, and they said Shattuck is their favorite, but they also like Mute, Turtle Boy, and they tolerate Reamer. It was the nicest thing anyone's ever said about Reamer.
Well, I thought the nicest thing, someone that listened said they wanted to fix Reamer up with their grandson.
That's right.
Now, I think that was trolling Reamer.
I don't think
Well, I think Gerry should start a dating service on this, Gerry. You could do that as well. I mean, you might as well. Way to be entrepreneurial. I mean, the Turtle Boy people hate me. He's got great stories. I love reading his stuff. They hate me, but I mean,
he does have some great stuff. He's got a couple of things today.
Well,
Check out Turtle Boy.
We didn't get a shout out. He's got a blog up today. Actually, I think he's in court today, but he's got a blog out today about another golf owner who's defying the state orders and who is ripping up cease and desist.
That's right. They served him a cease and desist on this little 9-hole course that let people play against the rules.
Right.
And they showed up and gave him a cease and desist, and he tore it up in front of the cops and threw it down.
I'm not going to let you arrest me today. Thank you.
Right. I don't think I'm going to let you arrest me. But it's in Millbury. Is it Millbury? Is that where the guy?
Millbury, yep. I think it's Clearview.
It's called Clearview Country Club. You can read all about it on TB Daily News. I think the Worcester Telegram has it. Probably Turtle Boy had it first.
Yeah.
They served him while people were out there, and there were, of course, the neighborhood narcs were ratting on them because he was allowing people to play.
Love him.
I want to get this guy's name because it's amazing. This is
he's not afraid to get dirty. He gets in the mix.
Morin. James Morin is the Board of Health out in Millbury, and he served the citation or whatever, the cease and desist order, what he tore up, and he says he goes by there every day and sees 30 cars or 40 golfers, and he says they're not always social distancing. He says, every time I've gone up there, I see 4 guys on the tee, and they're all within 4 feet of each other. This is the Board of Health complaining that people on a tee are too close to each other. They're not hugging or kissing.
What do you think that guy did, like, when he was younger? Was he the hall monitor? Was he an RA in college? Like, what did that guy do? Because he has to have something against, like, someone stuffed him somewhere, right? That you have to be that way. That to be that caught up in that bullshit, you have to have someone definitely did something.
Imagine that you go to the cops and you say that I saw golfers on a course, 4 guys walking down a big wide fairway, hitting a ball. We must stop them. God, I hate.
One guy had a Miller Lite in his hand. The love of God, that son of a bitch.
And I saw him. He fluffed up his lie in the rough. Let's call the cops.
He was night putting with the daughter of the dean. Son of a bitch.
The police chief is no saint in this situation either. It says the chief said he relayed his concerns to a state Department of Labor Standards inspector, and he said he hopes the state will begin levying daily fines against the club.
Yeah, that's going to get Turtle Boy's going to get on that big time. This isn't going to end well for that guy.
Stop and ask, what good is this doing? What am I doing? Like the judge in Dallas with the haircutter. What good is this doing? Am I saving lives? Am I protecting children? Of course not. You're just being an asshole. And people like this guy, they think they, just wake up in the morning and say, how can I bust people's balls again today?
Right. How can I be an asshole today? That's actually a great call. You're not helping anybody. You're just being an asshole.
And this lockdown is just giving them a lot more opportunity to be an asshole.
You think they would have? We talked about this, like who's advising Governor Baker? The golf community is like this really tight. It's like a podcast that has that loyal fan base. You know what I mean? Like it's a tight community that all fights together. Like this is the one area. Maybe there's some other. I know hockey community is big too and stuff like that. But this is so unnecessary, and somebody could have predicted the backlash that they got a month ago.
Yeah. This place is called Clearview. There's another place called Wachusett and Kettlebrook. These are courses that you should patronize. And as I tweeted, go play around this weekend and buy a shirt because these people stood up to tyranny. Damn it!
Freedom. Hold that driver up.
This is like Paul Revere and the revolutionaries at Lincoln and Lexington Concord. I mean, the revolution has commenced.
That's what you should do, Gerry. Get your driver. Go to Bunker Hill Monument with your driver and stand right there in front of the monument and yell freedom with your driver in the air. That's what you should do. That's the start of the revolution.
The weather's not going to be great, but if you feel like golfing, go out there and support these people because they're supporting freedom and democracy and liberty and everything this country stands for. Damn it. All right. I appreciate it. Thanks for listening. Thanks, Mute. Thanks, Cullinane.
We'll be back. We'll be back, by the way, tomorrow. We got a special Friday.
Oh, that's right. We have a special bonus Friday podcast. You don't want to miss it. It's a good one, I think. It's a fun one. We
Old
talked
old friend of Gerry Callahan. So some people who
old friend out in
yeah,
Hollywood, a guy, a big star out in Hollywood. We'll reconnect with him. You can check that out. That will be posted tomorrow morning. I was going to say for your drive time commute, but there is no such thing. So sometime tomorrow, if you're going for a walk, going for a jog, or just sitting around the house, check out the Callahan podcast. I think it's a pretty good one. All right. Thanks for listening, everyone. This is the Callahan podcast. We will talk to you again soon.